Warning: the following contains explicit language and subject matter that may not be suitable for younger listeners, church folk, and people who enjoy kale smoothies.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Pod Amongst Men. I'm your host, Steve B., and this is Coffee Break Conversations for the 21st Century. So, as you can see, right now, it's just me. I have no guests this week. What I wanted to do was have a little chat with all the listeners, even though it's one way, so it's not really a chat. I'm just going to talk at you, and you guys listen if you want to, and if you don't want to, turn it off. So, anyway, given recent events, stuff going on in the world, it really kind of forced me to do a little reflection and really reevaluate how I'm doing the show and what my approach is. So what I did, I wrote this little thing, this little statement, just because I wanted to make sure I'm saying what I wanted to say, and I wanted to say it right. So if you guys could bear with me, I'm going to read this thing, and then I'm going to just kind of start shooting from the hip again. But so here's what I have to say. Over the time I've been making this show, I've prided myself on having a diverse audience and diverse guests on. All I wanted was to illustrate how people that may not look the same or come from the same backgrounds share more commonalities than differences, and that by illustrating that in a fun way, we could all learn from one another and become better men. But after some real thought, I have to admit that I haven't been true to myself, and as a result, I haven't been true to you as the listener or viewer. I was mistakenly trying not to turn off anyone, avoiding too much conflict and playing it safe, but what I was actually doing was giving the audience a lackluster milquetoast version of myself. I avoided politics, I avoided asking the hard questions, and what I was left with was what I consider to be a subpar product. In light of recent events in the world, I've come to the conclusion that from now on, nothing is off limits. If I'm going to put this podcast out into the world, I want it to be an accurate representation of who I am. Me, Steve B. Not saying I won't still be polite and respectful, of course, that goes without saying. I'll just be more open about what's really happening in the world and how I feel like it affects us as real people. Now, if you're someone who doesn't like what they're hearing, getting a little concernicus at the prospect of me not being so neutral on everything, by all means, stop viewing, stop listening. I'm really less worried about losing you as a listener than I am for you liking me for something I'm not. All right, so that's the statement. Basically, I kind of fell into a trap that I think a lot of content creators fall into at one point or another, trying to please everybody. You can't please everybody, because all you're going to do is just kind of give a half-assed version of what you have to say, and you're not going to be real. And, by being real, it doesn't mean I'm just going to come on here and start being an asshole. I just want to, I'm not going to shy away from shit anymore. Like, I didn't want to do politics because I felt like it was too divisive of a topic. Everybody's so fucking got their guns blazing, their guards up. I felt like staying away from that would be better. People could kind of just listen to us talk as human beings and not have all these preconceived notions. Oh, he's a Democrat, he's a Republican, all that stupid stuff. But I'm not going to do that anymore. Let's just talk about what's going on. Let's just be honest. I could still tell you that I'm a liberal, but that doesn't mean that if you're a conservative that you shouldn't listen to what I'm saying. Like that, what I'm saying is going to be biased. Like, yeah, it matters that maybe that's where I'm coming from, but I'm going to try to be honest, and I'm going to try to tell the truth. I'm not trying to spin stuff. This isn't a news show, so it's not like I have some kind of agenda here. My whole agenda is still the betterment of men. And me being a man, like I would like us to be better. I don't want to just skate on by all the stuff that's really going on and feel like, even though I have a platform, small though it is, I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing here. I want to make sure I'm not glossing over stuff that needs to be talked about. And, full disclosure, like I said, I'm a liberal person. I'm also a registered Democrat, although not what I would consider to be a practicing one. I live in the state of New Jersey. We have closed primaries here. So if you're not a member of that party, you can't vote in that primary. So I feel like I align more closely with the Democratic Party. So that's who I registered as. And, also being a union member, I don't think it matters the same today as it once did. But this is just like stuff so you kind of know where I'm coming from, how I'm viewing certain things, even though I don't think, your political party should be an indicator of who you are, what you believe in. That's one of the problems I think we have today, is that too many people, I'm a Democrat, so I just believe in this checklist of stuff, and I'm a Republican, so I believe in this checklist because that's the party line, and that's what I'm going to do. So I don't have to actually think about things and weigh my decisions. I could just follow this checklist, and I'm good. Thought's over. Now I can go back to watching football. I know that this moment in history has given a lot of people like a convenient cover. With all the stuff going on right now, it seems like a lot of people have been, speaking out on social media and making their posts. We had Blackout Tuesday. Everybody, I support Black Lives Matter and this and that. And I think that it's become too easy for people for people to just jump on the bandwagon. Now, of course, anybody who knows me, I would hope, knows that I'm not just about talking about that stuff. I try to put my money where my mouth is, so for anybody who sees this stuff and is like, yeah, it's all fun. It's all fine and well. You make a little social media post, I'm trying to do the right thing here. I would like my actions to speak louder than my words. So, don't mistake me for some like fair weather social media activist, because it's not what I am. And, I'm not here to try to virtue signal and prove to you guys like, look at me. I support the Black Lives Matter movement. It's not about that. It's more, in my eyes, just about, doing what's right. And if people happen to listen to me or follow me, then you'll hear how I feel about it. I thought I saw the door open. Sorry about that. So, look, I have this whole little list of shit that I wanted to talk about, especially because it's just me on here. So I didn't want to come in unprepared. I wanted to actually have a serious conversation. Serious conversation as I speak into the void right now. But, I wanted to talk because this has been a crazy year so far. 2020 has thrown us a lot of twists and turns. And, maybe it's time for me to make a change. It's probably better I do it now since, if you're listening or watching, there's not a lot of you guys out there, to put it lightly. But like I said, I would rather have you guys appreciate this show and for me being real, for being a real host and not just being, I'm like, hey, welcome to the show. So, what's show business like? I want it to be me. I want it to be an accurate representation of me. So the way, the guests I have on, the questions I ask, and the conversations we have, I want that to be real. I don't want that to be, me dodging certain uncomfortable topics. I don't want that to be me dodging this because, I don't know how these people are going to feel about it, and I don't want to make these people mad at me. Fuck that. That's not what this is about. And, that would be me being a coward, and I don't want to do that. So, in case you guys haven't noticed, there's been a lot of shit going on lately. I talked about this last week with Talent and Danny. Shout out to them. We briefly touched on it, but I'm sure everybody listening and viewing has seen, what happened with George Floyd. I know it's been a few weeks ago now, but I wanted to really give this the time and thought that I feel like it deserves. It's fucked up. To put it lightly. We all saw that video. We all saw how that man died, how he cried for his mother. And I feel like people are pissed off, and rightly so. For the first time in my life, I feel I've seen even, very conservative people actually speaking out about it, which I understand is nothing but hot air at the end of the day, but it's a lot more than I've seen ever before. I've seen some hardcore Trump guys come out and say, oh, that's fucked up. Like, they need to throw the book at those guys. Like, I don't know. I feel like if that happened a year ago, well, what did he do? What did he do to deserve that? Like, this just seems like a totally different situation, man. probably because, I don't know, maybe because we have Corona. People have been locked inside their house for months now. We're coming up on, I think we're at 100 days today. I'm recording this on Monday. But something feels different this time around. Now, I know, a lot of my listeners who are members of the Black community, this is nothing new, and it's all too real a reminder of what's been going on since, the conception of this country. But what I hope is that anybody who's trying to be an ally, anybody who sees what's going on and wants to try to do the right thing, I hope you're willing to understand what comes with that. One thing you're going to hear a lot is people saying, well, you have to do the work. You have to do the research. Don't just go up to, your one black friend and say, what can I do? What can I do to help? Keep in mind they're a human being too. They're not, their goal here is not just to teach you what you should probably already fucking know. It's not that hard. Turn on Netflix, watch a documentary. There's a shitload of them. Read a book, God forbid. There's a lot of information out there, and it's not that hard to learn about this stuff. You really only have to look. Very quickly, you could find a lot of info. That I think a big problem why people are so pissed off at someone who thinks they're just trying to help is that you should know this stuff by now. Like, this is not new. This has been going on for our entire life. I don't want this to be like just the woke podcast where me trying to, again, tell you what you should already know and trying to, patronize people and make like virtue signal, basically. I'm not trying to say, oh, look at how much I know. Look how woke I am. That's not what this is about. A lot of that shit is bullshit at the end of the day because the people that are preaching it aren't following through on it. But what this is about is, this country, there's a big divide, and I don't know. I just wish that some people would open their eyes and realize that, their own ignorance. I wish some people would just take a look outside their own little bubble once in a while and just see that, shit isn't sweet for everybody. You may have it good. You may be, in a good situation, come from a good upbringing, live in a nice town. There's no problems. But, there's a lot more to the world. A lot of people just don't leave their little area, and you just look at everything in such a closed-mindedness. There's only one way to, well, there's a lot, I don't know. Anyway, one of the other things I wanted to talk about, now a lot of people that have listened to the show know that I've had more than a few police officers on here, some law enforcement officers. The people I've had on the show, shout out to Jack K, shout out to Brian P, shout out to Artie Dell. Like, these are all good guys. These are all guys trying to do the right thing. So what I'm going to be talking about next, I hope you understand that this is me. This is coming from a place of love. Like, I don't want to shit on these guys because I think they're good men. I think they're doing the right thing. But unfortunately, if you just look on the news, you're going to see a lot of guys not doing the right thing. You're going to see some downright cruel shit. And I think that the problem we're seeing is more than just a few bad apples. I think the entire culture of policing is in dire need of a major overhaul. If anything, look at Minneapolis. They said they have a veto-proof majority in the city council to completely disband the police force and, I assume, rebuild it from the ground up. But, I know that it's easy to just say, all cops are bastards, but we all know that's not the case. You could say that, but it wouldn't be true. But what you could say that I feel would be true is that the entire culture is corrupted. You've all seen these guys that just they get that taste of power and they run with it, and you see people get jaded. And I talked about this with Artie Dell. You see a lot of guys who just spend years just seeing awful shit, and it warps your mind. And these guys, some of them legitimately suffer from PTSD, and these are the guys that are paid to protect us. This is the job, and not everybody, I think, should be doing it. So, I shout out the guys that are doing the right thing, and especially you see these videos on social media. These cops, they're marching with the protesters, they're taking a knee, they're hugging, and that's all great. That's beautiful, but I really don't honestly think that that's the majority. I don't think that that's the norm. I think, unfortunately, there's a lot of guys doing the job that have no business doing the job. And that is a really ugly stain on the guys that are out there doing the right thing and putting their life on the line for the right reason. So I think, we need to reevaluate how we view policing in this country. And now, listen, I'm not one of these guys saying, abolish the police. I would like the cops to be there when I need them. So that would seem kind of counterproductive. But we need to really be honest about what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of, I don't get it. How is the response? People are protesting police brutality, and how is the response more police brutality? Like, it just doesn't seem to make sense. It seems really counterproductive, and it really seems to highlight the problem that caused this whole thing. You saw what happened in Buffalo. You saw they pushed this 75-year-old man. Yeah, okay, you could say, oh, well, he was an agitator. He was an instigator. I'm looking at the video. He was standing there. They pushed him down, split the guy's head open, and then they just kept it moving. And then when those guys got suspended, they said all 57 other officers on that one team all resigned from that particular duty in solidarity. It's like, well, is that really the horse you want to hitch your wagon to? I'm saying that right? I think that makes sense. But you know what I mean? Like, that's the statement you want to make. You want to defend the guys that knocked down an old man and just walk over him while he was bleeding on the sidewalk. That just seems like more of exactly what the problem is. So I definitely applaud the guys that are out there, actually talking to the protesters and listening, and they're vowing to do better and all that stuff. But I think it's going to take more than just that. I don't want that to distract from the real work that needs to be done. So like I said, I love my friends that are out there doing it for the right reasons, but this is the time that we need you. This is the time when you guys need to be the example. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing, more so in bigger cities, is just these guys are out there just acting nuts. They're acting like maniacs, beating people, shooting tear gas on people's front porch, which I think actually was the National Guard. I'm not sure, so I'll let that one go for now because I don't have the full info. But it's ugly, and I understand that right now, especially, it's not an easy time to be a cop. Whether you're a good or bad cop, it's just rough. You're basically dealing with what's the word I'm looking for? What the fuck is the word I'm looking for? Either way, you're everybody's angry at you. Everybody's pissed off at you. So this is not an easy time, and I think some guys are really just at their breaking point, which is part of what you're seeing. I think some guys are just, unpredictably violent to begin with. So you're seeing some of that too, of course. You're just seeing the worst, man. It makes me happy. We had a protest here in my town in Somerville Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, actually. But I was really happy to see everything was peaceful. Everything was, it may not have been the best organized thing I've ever seen, but we did it right. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was out there for the right reasons. Everybody was, there was no vandalism. There was nobody being an asshole. Everybody was out there to make a statement, and that's it. And I really feel like that's what we did. And I was really proud to be a part of it. I was proud of my city, a little 2.3 square mile city. We filled the streets, man. Like, there was a lot of people. And that doesn't just happen, every day. It's one of those things that makes you wonder, why now? What's different? I think people are sick of being inside, for one thing. everybody had no choice but to watch that video because it was everywhere. And it's not like, everybody was distracted with sports and so many people aren't working right now. Like, it was really in our faces, and it made it really hard for a lot of people to ignore it. So, one thing that I was talking about with one of my cop friends, he brought up a really interesting point, and he was talking about how, in a lot of cases, it's with cops, it's not necessarily a racism problem. It's more of an elitism problem. The example he gave was that, he's seen, black cops beat up, black citizens, so clearly that isn't a racism thing. It's more of a situation where in the culture of policing, a lot of cops just approach it like the only people who really matter are cops. Like, cops, if you're not a cop, you ain't shit. And I think that's a really dangerous mindset. And I definitely think, if you just take a look at what you see, it's not hard to find that. Like I said, of course, not everywhere. I have to give that disclaimer because, like I said, it's not everybody, but, the saying isn't just a few bad apples. It's a few bad apples spoil the bunch. And unfortunately, guys in that line of work, you're going to be held accountable for what other cops do, which is sad to say, but it's just the way it is. People are going to, all the times people interact with cops and there's no problems, but it's the times that things go bad. That's what people are going to remember. And unfortunately, it sucks to say, but, a lot of cops, most guys are going to be judged by the actions of a few, which is it fair? No, it's not fair. But, it's a tough job. It's a tough job they signed up for. I couldn't do it. I don't envy them being in that position, but it's the job you signed up for. So, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But you have to be honest, and it's not easy to say, yeah, maybe I'm not cut out for this, but some people clearly aren't. And when there's lives and safety on the line, it's not the time to fuck around, guys. So look, I don't have the answers, and if you're listening to this and you think I'm dead wrong, maybe you're right. I don't know. All I know is, we can't, that whole culture, you guys can't just, keep going on as if nothing's wrong and say, oh, well, this is the way it's always been. Like, well, then it's got to change. If that's the way it's always been, clearly that's the problem, because we can't keep doing things the way that we've been doing them, because look where we're at. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of seeing these videos. And I'm a white guy. And so at the end of the day, I could literally just, turn the TV off and go about my day. And it really doesn't affect me. But I don't want to be someone who just sits by and watches this shit happen. It's like, that sucks to be you. Like, it's not, I don't have that in me. But then again, what can I really be doing? Am I just talking into a microphone, or am I going to actually do something? So there's a lot of things we could do. I'm probably not the best person to be talking about this since, this is, like I said, not really something that has affected me growing up directly, only indirectly. So there's a lot of other more educated voices and more eloquent than me that I think probably you could be listening to. So let's see, what else do I got? Oh, social media. A lot of people, like you see, even there's so many protests going around, which is, I think, a great thing and needs to happen. And if you look on social media, sometimes you see, I follow this page. It's called Influencers in the Wild. I follow them on Instagram. I highly suggest you check it out, because you see some of these people that are just posing for these pictures. You see these girls in California posing in front of like looted shops as if they're like so distraught, but it's all a photo op. Like, you see these people that are just kind of co-opting this shit and trying to make it look like, oh, I was a part of this, and I was marching. They're literally like jumping off the sidewalk to go march for the 10 seconds it takes to snap a couple pictures, and then they're gone. And then from, if you're looking at your Facebook feed and you see that, they go, oh, look at her, she was out there doing. No, like, I feel like too many people are using that as an excuse to, again, a virtue signal. like I said, I was at the protest in Somerville yesterday, and I snapped a few pictures of just like the crowd. It was cool to see all the people. I snapped one picture of me and my wife with our signs, but I kind of felt a little dirty posting it. Like I felt like is that really the right thing to do? But I just want people, especially people that listen to the podcast, I want you to know that I'm trying to do the right thing here. Okay, what I think is the right thing. Some people may disagree, and that's fine. I'm trying to do the right thing. I don't want to just be all talk. Like I want my actions to, like I said, to speak louder than my words. So does posting a picture of me at a protest really count as action? No. And I understand that. And I'm not trying to make it out like that. It's just that, I felt good being there. It's something that it feels, like meaningful, like it's moving to see all those people coming out and feel like everybody's on the same page, and everybody's trying to be on the right side of this. Everybody wants to show support and show love, and I think that's a beautiful thing. So yeah, excuse me for snapping a picture. I don't know why I felt like I needed to explain that to you guys, but I guess I've kind of felt a little guilty for posting that, but it is what it is. So you may see me on like Instagram and whatever, and Facebook, being a little more open about social issues. Probably be speaking about politics in the future, especially considering we're in an election year. So, if you guys are going to comment on that stuff, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with people. I went through that. 2016 was like the year of the the Facebook battle, for me at least. I know a lot of other people did the same thing. Sorry, I had to lube up the pipes there. But I'm not going to do that again. So, I'll make my post as usual and everything. And if you want to comment, that's fine. If people are going to cross a line, then yeah, I'll block people. I haven't had to do it yet, but, just listen, we're here to have a conversation. We're here to talk about all the different walks of life we all come from. And that's how we learn, Not everybody's lucky enough to have a friend that comes from a totally different lifestyle than them. Or a friend that comes from a different country, or even just a different neighborhood. Like I said, a lot of people just live in that little bubble. They only know people that look like them, that live like them, that were raised like them, that think like them. They only know the same thing. And you become so ignorant to everything else that's out there. Like, it's a big world, and there's a lot of people, and it doesn't hurt to know a little bit about other things. See, if you see the video, it looks like my one shoulder is higher. I'm sitting comfortably now, and this shoulder seems lower than this shoulder, which is weird. Maybe, years ago I went to a chiropractor, and he told me that my shoulders were like out of alignment. So maybe that's what he was talking about. It's weird. I'm looking, mirror image. And you guys don't give a shit about that. So anyway, I'm not going to argue with these people. If you feel differently, that's fine. But yeah, I'm just gonna tell it like I see it. Shoot from the hip. So yeah, I mean that's really all I had to say. I didn't have a lot of I'm pretty bad at scheduling this podcast. I know I love it. I love doing this. This means a lot to me, but I am inherently lazy as a human being. So if I don't have a great idea right off the top of my head, then I probably am waiting till the last minute to plan these episodes. So I also apologize to anybody I asked to be a guest, if they feel like I'm, not giving them time to prepare. Yes, I am guilty, because sometimes I'm just rushing to get this thing out. But I don't want to miss a week. I want to make sure there's something here. This is kind of like my diary. At least this is, especially now I'm just talking by myself. But anyway, yeah, I want to be more of myself. I don't want to have to hide things and hide my real opinions about things anymore, because it's who gives a shit about that? Anybody can just be some neutral, host, but that's boring. Like, that's not what this is supposed to be about. So, I don't just want to be another random white guy talking about random shit on his podcast, and it means nothing and does nothing. Like, I feel like with a lot of the episodes I've done, like, we've really we got into some real shit, man, and I love that, and I want to do more of that. I want it to be fun. I want it to be funny because that's one of the things that makes it, that it makes it digestible. For one thing, nobody wants to just be depressed all the time. Like, let's joke around. We're dudes, we're human beings. That's how this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be like, you're sitting at your job and everybody takes their coffee break together. At least in construction, that's how we do it. But we all take a coffee break at 9:00, and the crew's sitting around. Everybody's joking, telling stories. Just that's the vibe I want on here. So, and I don't really shy away from telling my opinions then, so why should I do it now when I have an even broader audience? But anyway, enough about me. That's pretty much all I have for you guys today. So if you're not rocking with us anymore after this, I get it. And if you are, I would really like to say thank you. Thank you to all the guys that have been listening and showing love. Thank you to Rashad. I love you. You're always showing support, man. I really appreciate that. You don't know how much that means. Thanks to the 3 ninjas. As always, you guys have been awesome. Going to be seeing Hesh soon on here, so keep your eyes open. Shout out to Alec Lano on Instagram. You've shown support, man. I really appreciate you. You're another electrician. Shout out to my union brother. Shout out to Mike Sweeney at Keep It Basement for helping me get this thing set up. Always, giving me tips and just being there to help me out whenever I needed something, for always answering back promptly. It's a good quality, buddy. I don't even know if he's going to listen to this, though. And, that's what I got for now. So, as always, you guys know where to find me. You can find me on Instagram at APodAmongstMen. Send me an email, APodAmongstMen@gmail.com. If you have any topics you want to hear about or any long-form questions, even though nobody's really big with that, it's still there. The show. Please make sure you guys subscribe on YouTube. That would help a lot. Make sure you subscribe on Spotify also, or iTunes, wherever you get the podcast. But we're there. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. YouTube, as always, is, like I said, subscribe. That helps. And I'm going to try to give you guys a better show. That's my goal from here on out. I'm going to try to do it right. So if you thought it was boring and you gave up on us, sorry. And if you're still with us, I love you. So see you guys next week. Peace.